Hey everybody, welcome to Morning Chalk Up. I'm Lauren Kalil and we have Patrick Clark, our sports analyst here. We are doing a segment today recapping the first day that we can see the leaderboard after people take their first stab at a couple of the quarterfinal workouts.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's jump at it.
It has been a crazy day. Patrick, have you done any of the workouts? Like, I know you're not doing quarterfinals, but neither was Brian, but he still, took a stab at some of them.
No, I mean I have done the other total before, and I plan on doing it probably next week after the quarterfinals. I'm obviously a little busy this weekend, but I'll probably end up doing a couple of them later on. But like the first two, the ones that actually the scores are in there, those are a couple skills that I'm not really good at, especially when it comes to ring muscle ups and strict handstand push ups. But I'll probably give it a shot. Maybe even scale a little bit.
Yeah, anything that you saw on social media, I mean, it's crazy how many people post their videos just because the format is so different that some of the top athletes, they don't care if you see their videos because they're going to move on to a semifinal anyway. But anything that you saw on social media that, surprised you or that was noteworthy?
I think what's noteworthy is that there was a lot of social media posts, but it wasn't really more about these events that we're going to talk about. It's more about the total event, which it looks like a lot of the athletes
Yeah.
elected to do that strength event first, which is, if you think about it, you want to be fresh, and that's also something you could do later on towards the end of the workout. Or end of the quarterfinals as well. So you saw a lot of amazing lifts. I mean, it seems like everyone's PRing. I saw Patrick Vellner, 3 lifts, 3
Three
PRs.
PRs, 3 for 3. That was
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly. And it like motivated Brian to go do it. And what did Brian do?
Yeah.
Brian got 3 PRs.
I know, and I literally told him yesterday what my overhead squat was, and
Yeah.
he beat me by 1 pound, and he said he was gonna do
No.
that. Yeah, by 1 pound.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now I might
you
need to
still
redo it.
you still got him on bench press, right?
N yes, lifetime PR, but I didn't hit that
Yeah.
for
But
for the total,
but
but whatever.
yeah, but that I think that's the main takeaway. I did see some things. I know, like underdogs, they threw out a kind of little complimation thing. I know Mayhem threw some stuff out there. The main thing I saw out of anything of the first two workouts, that first two scored workouts, was the muscle up one. Seemed like a
Mm.
lot of athletes were throwing those up there, and I don't know if that had a little something to do with people making sure that their reps muscle ups look nice and their reps count, because there is someone out there watching. So people's muscle up reps. But yeah,
Yep.
it's yeah, that's mainly what I saw. I mean, did you see anything on social media that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I saw a lot of PRs and then also right before I tested workout 5 with the intention to repeat it, I just wanted
Hmm.
to feel it out. That was the 30 cals on the row, 20
Yeah.
burpee box jump overs, and 10 snatches at 135, 185. I saw
Hmm.
Chandler Smith and like a boss touch and go power snatching one after the other. And I was like, man, this is really motivating, but mine are gonna be very slow singles.
Oh, I'm sure you still
Yeah.
crushed it. Maybe not
Yeah,
the
so
row so much, but maybe the other 10.
I'm more worried about the wall ball shuttle sprint one that I'm gonna do tomorrow.
Yeah.
These short legs, they're gonna be struggling a little
Well,
bit.
at least
But
at
let's
least at least this year they separated the wall ball and the rower from in events. So, you know.
yeah, but then they made the women go to a 10-foot target
Oh,
for
come
the wall
on.
balls.
You don't practice at 10 feet?
I only did for one workout. One workout,
Well,
it was like the standard for it. So
well, new
actually,
standard.
I just got the Noble Trainer Plus, and I
Okay.
couldn't double under in them because, they made my rope shorter because they're just a little bit taller, but
Mhm.
for the new wall ball standard, it's like I'm wearing
Oh,
elevator heels. I'm throwing those on for that one tomorrow.
there you go.
Alright, let's pull up the leaderboard. We're gonna start with, the North American men. Here, let's see. Oh, that's not what I wanna do.
Oh, you don't want everyone to see your
Hold
desktop?
on. Nope, but it looks like they're gonna for a minute here. Let
Yeah.
me All right, I just gotta. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Noah Olson in first place. It's funny because I've been hearing so many people underestimate him lately and just saying, yeah, like he did Wadapalooza on a team, and we just don't know that he really has like what it takes to catch up to the rest of the field. But then you see after day one, two first place finishes, and I don't know. I feel like Noah is gonna have a much better year this year. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. I mean, he seems. I mean, the interview you had with him not too long ago, he seems like he's in a really good headspace. Like he's kind of like accepted, you know, like he may not be the best, but he's going to give his best effort, and he's just going to go out there and give his best effort. And it seems like right now, especially with the first two scored workouts, his best effort is the best in the world. These scores are actually any other scores in the men's division in the quarterfinals. So he has the top two times. You might want to just call them records. These are records. He owns a record in two events, and this is something really cool because I wrote about this in my takeaways piece about how Noah, had a real rough start to the Open. I think he finished like 333rd in the first one, and in the 300s is like one of his worst Open event workouts ever. They've finished it up with two top tens. And so this is a continuation of that. And we talked about that last time we spoke, is how I thought that the Open and the quarterfinals is kind of like a continuation of the Open. And I think Noah's actually treating it that way because he went for two strong finishes, a second place and I think a sixth place in 22.2 and 22.3. And then he follows it up a week later with two first places. And these are, I mean, like I said, this is an extension of the Open, as I think it would be. In my mind, it is. He has a top time in the world in these two events. So,
Yeah, and
bravo, Noah.
yeah, and especially like by well, by 5 seconds in one, just about 12 seconds in the other, but still two first place finishes. Not bad, not a bad way to start quarterfinals. And then Saxon just moving a new training facility, or a new training program. He's also somebody that has just like he's hitting his stride finally.
Well, he's doing his workouts along Tia, who we'll talk about later, but that's who his training
Yeah.
partner is. I mean, I mean, it's those two. That's who Shane is basically coaching this year. Is those two. And then, I mean, you talk about Saxon, but look who you have in fourth and fifth.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is a retiree, apparently.
I feel like Scott was maybe he was saying that just as like a security blanket, but something in my gut tells me that he's going to show up back on the competition floor in Madison. What do you think?
I think if the opportunity presented itself and he feels like he can go there healthy and he
Yeah.
can perform, I don't see why not. And I think it would help too if Spencer is up there too, which he is right now. I think he would love the opportunity to have all three brothers there because obviously only Saxon and Scott, they've been there together, and Spencer hasn't had the opportunity to do that. I think that'd be a great moment. That's something he wouldn't turn down. I mean, he told you when we had him in the first pre-show that he's playing it. He's officially retired, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But he's playing it stage by stage. But right now, the way he's looking, it's like we're going to see this guy in Madison again.
Yeah, all three brothers like in the top 10. I think that that's super cool. Again, unofficially, CrossFit, they don't officially release the full
Mhm.
leaderboard until next week, the end of the week, but still noteworthy to see, all three brothers there. Jeffrey Adler is in the mix, Cole Sager's in the mix, Chandler Smith back in the top 10 too.
Yeah. Fun fact about Chandler is like him and his new fiance. They actually did all those workouts in like all 5 workouts in like a day and a half at Krypton of all places too. So
Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So they did all 5 workouts in less than 24 hours essentially. I'm sure I believe Jesse, his new fiance. I think they have a wedding this weekend, so they want to just knock it all out. So that's pretty impressive for Chandler. I mean, it's like I said, it's 2 scored events, and then obviously one of those events is a strength event, the new total. So I'm pretty sure he'll be pretty high up in that as well. And one thing I did notice when I looked at this when it first came out, this list, the leaderboard came out. Tyler Christoffel was in 12th, so they're already making
Mm.
adjustment and score changes and rulings now as we speak. So obviously
Oh,
the
interesting.
judging team for CrossFit home office, Bosman's team, they're at it. So because right now you see Tyler Christopher's at 10, which
Yeah.
that's impressive. That's good for Tyler. I think he finished 13th in the Open, so now he's sitting at 10th. And some of those events coming up play in favor of him.
Yeah. All right. Let's go over to the women in North America. Emma Lawson
Emma
sitting in
Lawson.
first.
Yep. So before we talk about Emma, if you look at the top 10, you have
Yeah.
Emma Lawson, Mal O'Brien, and Annika Greer, and Lily Rodriguez, 4 teenagers out of 10. 4 teenagers.
They're coming in hot again.
They are. And that's just after 2 events. I'm not surprised to see Emma at the top because these are workouts that Emma, they're triplets. They're almost classic CrossFit workouts. And Emma is a classic CrossFitter. She does well in events like this historically, and I'm not surprised to see her up there. I wouldn't be really surprised that she finishes in the top 5 by the end of the weekend. And then you have Chrissy Aaron O'Connell tied with Mal O'Brien. So I mean that's that's good company.
Yeah.
Obviously Mal's continuing her run, and then number 4 is a favorite of yours, your new favorite of yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
she is so sweet. I love her.
Yeah, with the first place.
Yeah, which is incredible, and especially, like, she just went down to Naples, Florida to train in person with the Brute Strength crew, and I know that they were all, like, rushing to get all of the equipment into their new facility. It all arrived just in time, and I think it's saying something about some of these athletes that are, training against other very competitive elite CrossFitters. And speaking of that, Alexis Raptis, she's healthy. She had that knee problem with the cysts that she had to have removed, and the comeback and physical therapy, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, she is incredible at some of these workouts, and just to see her name in the top 10 when she missed qualifying for the games by just a couple of points. She was on the road before the last day at her semifinal and like just nearly missed it. I think it's saying something to see her in the top 10 so early in quarterfinals as well.
Yeah, her time in that first event, first scored event, 5:20. It's the second fastest in the world after Emma Lawson. So that's some pretty good company to be in. I mean, here we are. We're talking about an age group alum who's 22 years old, and we're talking she's in good company with a 16-year-old. I mean, how crazy is that? If you look at the 5th, who's tied for 5th, you have Danielle Brandon and Annika Greer. Obviously, we know Danielle Brandon, and these events perfect for Danielle Brandon. I actually can't wait to see what she does in that rope climb shuttle run one.
Oh yeah,
because her being with her running background, and she is a beast when it comes to rope climbs. I mean, she loves rope climbs. But her and Annika Greer is actually in Vegas doing the quarterfinals with the Underdogs crew right now. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, Annika being an 18-year-old, she's being a lot of these doors have opened up to her since what her breakout performance at Wodapalooza, and after seeing what she did in the Open, I expect her to be here within the top 15 by the end of the quarterfinals. And then I'd have to mention it because Joe, our esteemed colleague, not degenerate like Tommy calls him, Joe, our senior editor here, he wanted me to definitely talk about Ariel Lowen. I mean, that's a name we can't. She's always underlooked, and there she is at 8th, and don't be surprised she finishes in the top 10 or even a top 5. I mean, you just don't know that about her. And this is a really good. It's a really good mixture. If you scroll down a little bit, look at some of the names outside the top 10, because obviously there's some names there. So you have
20.
So 11 and 12 is very.
There we go.
11 and 12 is very interesting because you have Kayla Stefanos and Haley Adams. Those two were, I guess you want to say, rivals in the teen division back in 2017, 2018. Kayla Stefano actually won the 16 to 17-year-old title of fittest in the 2017 games. Haley finished second, and then it switched in 2018, Haley's last year. But Kayla Stefano
Wow.
hasn't had that career trajectory like Haley has, obviously. But through the Open and so far in the quarterfinals, she's looking good. So maybe she just kind of took the time off. And right below Haley is one of her training partners at Mayhem is Bailey Rao, who we haven't seen much of her this year because of some injuries and some sicknesses.
Mhm.
But again, going down there, you just see some more age group alumni. Rebecca Foussier, she's a former teen athlete, and and leading the proven group, the proven train for North America is Nicole Gibson Burke. She's not many people know about her. She was a
Yeah.
semifinalist. Yep, trains out of East Nashville with a proven crew as well.
Mhm.
She's someone to keep an eye out on, but she's kind of leading the way for that proven group. Because if you go down, you'll notice Haley Adams, or not Haley Adams, Brooke Wells at 21st.
Brooke, yep,
Which,
21.
so I'm really obviously that second place, right? That second event, that 53rd. She's not really known for her muscle ups, and so I think that's kind of damage control in terms of events. But
Yeah,
it looks like the elbow's holding up. Obviously, the event
that's what I was
one,
thinking.
she doing all the handstand push-ups and the volume and the
And even,
overhead
like, the
walk.
overhead walking
Yes.
lunges, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So it looks like it's holding up, but yeah, it's I like the women. The women have a lot more diversity and a lot more storylines than the men do at this point, but that could quickly change tomorrow when this leaderboard's updated.
Right, exactly. A lot can still change after day 1, but let's move on to here we go. We'll just start at the top. Let's go to Africa. We'll start with, women's side. Here, there, 1 through 9, I suppose, because there's a two-way tie.
Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty close. Now, there's a couple names that
Yeah.
stick out. What name sticks out to you right now?
Michelle Bassnett.
Yeah, who won?
She's
Friend of the
yeah,
friend
she's
of the
been
show.
in yep, friend of the show. She trains in North Carolina normally, or
Yeah,
is it South
I believe
Carolina?
South Carolina.
It Okay, in South Carolina, but she's been back home in South Africa for, I think, over a month at this point. She's been training at one of the gyms there. Um, so I mean, of course, we expected to see her in the top 10. I guess I was expecting to see her a little higher up. I know it's still early, only after day 1 of 2 workouts, but I feel like she'll definitely trickle up the leaderboard as we get more scores in throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I definitely agree. She started this way last year as well. Dina
Mhm.
Swift, who's in seventh, she's a former games athlete. I think the national champion in 2019, so she competed at 2019 games. She finished second behind her last year in the quarterfinals. So I would expect both of those names to kind of move up the leaderboard. But right now, as you can see, it's pretty close. Another one to keep on is Reagan Finkel of the famous
Yeah.
Finkel sisters. There's quite a few Finkel sisters there. They they train with Invictus. At least they did last year, but they're young and up and coming in South Africa. So this it's they only get one spot out of semifinals, but their semifinal event that they'll have there, the Cape Town, will be really competitive. And but right now, like you said, that name at 6 out is Michelle Bassett. It's 6 right now, but I would imagine she'd move up, especially as some of these scores start trickling in.
Sure. Let's go over to the men's side. Here we go. What sticks out to
So
you here, Patrick? Anything
when you
in
talk about
particular?
Africa and you talk about the men's field in Africa, it starts with Jason Smith. Jason Smith, who's currently
Of
in fifth
course.
place, obviously he's like, if there's a Hall of Fame for African CrossFitters, it'd be Jason Smith. He'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he's in fifth. He's only 9 points behind, and we last time we saw him, he was competing at Rogue. He was finished top 25, I believe top 30 at the games last year. He won the semifinal last year, but he has some guys coming up, and I think that's what he wants to see. Obviously Jason he can't do this forever. But some of these guys are up and coming, and a guy you see a lot of is Kalen Henry. I think he's in his mid-20s, but he was a guy who typically does pretty well in the Open. He did really well in the quarterfinals last year. The semifinals, he kind of he struggled a little bit, and then you had Duvernay. He's another guy who's kind of sticks out to me. I've seen his name a lot. So, but Jason Smith, that's obviously the name that kind of points out. And as you can see, South Africa is pretty much, when it comes to the Africa region, uh, South Africa is usually the country in Africa that pretty much dominates in that sport. So hopefully that will
Sure.
change as the sport expands.
Right. And CrossFit is looking to grow in other continents. I mean, they've talked about it that they have specific like teams that
Mhm.
are going to find places where they can bring more affiliates. So hopefully that is something that we see in the future.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is the men's Asia.
Yes. So Alexander Ilin, who actually was, I mean, we obviously there's not really a flag there, but yeah, he's an athlete from Russia, and he's usually one of the guys who, he's competed at the games as well. He didn't make it last year due to visa issues. It'll be rough for him, obviously, this year with what's going on with him, even if he does finish one of the top 2 spots, and yeah, it's top 2, I believe, in Asia. It'll be hard for him to travel here based on what's going on. I'm not surprised to see his name there. Number 2, I don't know if you recognize that name at all.
I don't.
Dennis?
Dennis.
Have you heard of the guy called the Fittest Wizard?
Oh, okay. Obviously, I know who that is. Yes, I always forget what his real name is
Exactly. So that's him. That
I'm
sits at
too
number
busy
2.
watching his YouTube or his TikTok videos.
Yep. So that is him in number 2, the Fittest Wizard, right there. And he's fit. I mean, he can compete.
Right.
I mean,
It's funny because I feel like
Waterpalooza.
people only like know him as the not only people
Yeah.
like me only know him as the Fittest Wizard because
Mhm.
I get so enthralled with watching his Instagram videos, but
Mhm.
he honestly is an amazing dancer that
Yes.
sometimes like my brain just focuses on how good of choreography he is and like some of the splits he does, but he's also a phenomenal CrossFitter. Like he's
Mhm.
not just messing around. He's really freaking fit.
Legit. Yeah. Oh, and that's a good segue. You talk about how amazing of a dancer the Fittest Wizard is. Number 3 is a guy who's also known for dancing, Roman Kretikov, who's an amazing break dancer. And that's a guy, obviously, that's probably the guy that's, you would expect to see in the top 2, top 3. He's currently doing the quarterfinals down at Cookville with the Mayhem crew.
Yep.
So, I'm sure he's loving that training environment. It's a training environment he's never been a part of. So it's interesting to see what happens down there.
Right, and he even did one of the I think 22.3 he did in Naples, Florida with the Brute
Mhm.
Strength crew and then made his way over to Mayhem. So it's cool to see him get like the different training camp vibes and be able
Yeah.
to expose himself to some of the other athletes that he otherwise would only see at a CrossFit competition outside of the US. Like
Yeah.
when he went to Dubai,
Mm-hmm.
for
And
instance.
it's obviously he's here in the States, and it's he's on this kind of like U.S. tour right now until we don't know what's going to happen with his semifinals. If
Yeah.
that's probably something that I'm sure CrossFit's working on, because obviously semifinal he would have to travel to South Korea for that, but we don't know if he'd be able to enter back into the U.S. because of that. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we're in especially in the Asia regional, very very sensitive political climate, and just a lot of weird stuff going on. And it's going to affect some of these athletes. As you can see, you see 4 flags that aren't represented
Have
in
been
the top
removed.
6 right there. And then so yeah, that pretty much wraps up the Asia in terms of in the men. Those 3 names right there, and those 3 well-known names, especially even one name that you're not really familiar with.
I know,
But
we need to
some.
have, like, their Instagram handle
Mhm.
under their real name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we would recognize more names. Okay, I don't think we did women yet. There we
We have
go.
not.
There. What do you think
So
about this leaderboard, PC?
I'm not
I'm gonna
really.
need you to help walk me through this one.
Okay, so currently in first, it's the I'm gonna butcher her name. So
Svilanta? Svilana?
Zalova.
Yeah,
Okay, but
that's
she
probably what I would have said.
She's one of the top athletes in Asia. She finished third last year in the semifinals for the Asia semifinals, and right now she seems to be the person to beat. Right below her is Yoku Sakayama. She is an OG when it comes to Asia. I mean, this poor woman right here. She's 35, I believe.
Here, yeah, I'll click
She
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
35. Good for
35.
her.
She's competed in the Asia back in regionals. I think she competed in like 5 or 6 regionals. Never made it to the games. Always came up short. So the one year that she could have went to the games was 2019 when they did the national champions. Was the one
Oh,
year she
yeah.
wasn't national champion. So she never made it to the games.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Now I'm rooting for her.
Oh, I am too. As you can see, she at 35 years old, she is very. She's what like I said, she's an OG, and she's a pure CrossFitter herself. I mean, obviously she has an event win there unofficially. I don't know much about Seher Ka, but if you go down to or Cohen, she's another one. She's competed, I believe, at the games as a national champion, and then obviously at number 4 is Choi, who competed at the games last year as one of the 2 representatives from the
Mhm.
Asia semifinal, and she's I really think she has potential to become maybe the face of not when I speak of Asia, not outside of Russia in terms of like China, Japan, Korea. She has a face of being like the up and coming, someone they can market around. She's really young. I believe she's 23, 22 years old. So yeah, I would expect her to be, to be in a top 3, top 5 by the end of the weekend.
Okay, moving to Europe.
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 All right. Right on top of the leaderboard,
Exactly.
Sarah Sigmund's daughter
How's that
making
make
her
you?
comeback.
How's that make you feel when you see her name on top of the leaderboard? What type of feelings does that generate from you?
I get excited because what I really admire about her is just anytime like you see her, you interact with her, she's always got this really positive vibe and energy. And when she's on the competition floor, when you watch it snap into like,
Yep.
there's so many memes out there, and I just love the fire in her soul. You can tell that she, like, eats, sleeps, breathes this, and just to see her name back up there on the leaderboard, speaking of people who are training together, she's at Training Think Tank in Georgia, training with who else we saw on the leaderboard?
Yep.
Alexis Raptis, who was
Yep.
7th in North American region. So the 2 of them, as well as several other people who are down there training in this environment. I mean, you know that she's in the right place right now to maximize her potential. I
Well, that.
really feel like this is the best place for her right now.
Oh, and I think she would 100% agree too. I mean, she said as much. And then I don't know if you noticed it, but that quarterfinal group down there, we talked about Alexis, but Noah's actually doing quarterfinals there as well.
Yeah.
So it's actually been kind of funny. If you haven't been following along with her stories, Sarah's stories, she's like just
Oh,
putting
they're
Noah up
amazing.
last. It's hilarious, But it's just great. Like you said, I mean, every time I see Sarah's name right there, I just brings a smile to my face because I know her personally, and she's just one of the
Yeah.
sweetest, most genuine people that I've ever met in this space. And every time I see her, she's like remembers my name. She gives me a hug, and then she's just asking me how I'm doing and how my family's doing. And it's like that's how she is. If you know her and you get to know her, you have a friend for life. So not to play favorites, but I just wanted to get your reaction to that. It was very similar to mine. So number 2, Lucy Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Representing the Brits. And that's not a name that many people know. When you see a British flag or a UK flag, you're thinking Sam
You're like,
Critics,
"Huh?"
Emma McQuaid.
Right.
Here we go. We got Lucy Campbell. And, you had a chance to interview her. Did you not?
Yeah,
After
and
Waterpalooza?
I did after Wadapalooza because she had such a great finish. She was
Yeah.
4th overall at
Yep.
Wadapalooza,
Missed
just
the
outside.
podium by 2 points.
Right. And you could tell just how genuine and humble she was from the whole experience, but I think that it's moments like that for athletes who might not know who Lucy Campbell is.
Mm-hmm.
After Wadapalooza, so many more people knew who she was. They recognized her name. Maybe they followed her on social media. That now when you look at a leaderboard, you're like, oh, Lucy Campbell, I think I've seen her name before. And it's because people have, because she had such a great performance at Wadapalooza. But I mean, she's also in a great training environment. And I think that, she's working on her weaknesses and doing everything that she can to really maximize her potential. And I think it's cool to see her at the top of the leaderboard after the first two workouts.
Yeah. And there's a lot of unknown names there. A lot of names I'm not really familiar with. I mean, obviously you have the Emma Talls, you have Matilda Garnes, who's been at the games, and I'm expecting a big year out of Jacqueline Dahlstrom. This is the healthiest she's been, the strongest she's been, and this is someone who's been to the games and been a top 20 qualifier the last couple of years. Obviously, Emma McQuaid she's gearing up for a really, really good season this year. But then you go to number 8. I'm not familiar with Claudia Gluck from France. But her score in event 2, her time is 7:07. Yeah, if you scroll there, age 23.
Oh yeah, she got first for
first in Europe. So that time, 7:07, it's third best in the world. And we'll talk about who has number 1 and 2 later on. But but for her to finish third, we'll have the third best time in the world in that second event. And once we talk about the first 2, she's in great company. But
another young athlete at that, only 23 years old. So really good training age for growth in the sport.
That has to, especially for Europe. I mean, again, we talked about in the Open, especially on the female side, when you look at the Europeans, you see so many diverse flags. I mean, obviously you have a couple from Norway. I think there's like 5 Icelandic women in the top 15, but you see so many and so many young up and coming European athletes. If you want to scroll down past the top 10, we probably see some more familiar names. There we go. You see them. We got
Gabby Magala.
Yep. A couple of Icelandic women right there. Ella Wagner. She's part of that crew that of the program as well that trains. It's the same program that Gabrielle Magala, Jacqueline Dahlstrom, she trains with. She's another one young and up and kind of 24 years old. Just one of my favorite athletes from Europe. Andrea Solberg. I mean, like I said, a lot of these names are they're young European athletes are waiting to make the names, making way to make their jump up leaderboard and make a name for themselves. Keep on scrolling down. And Mia Hesketh. I mean, here's a woman that, she made it to the games. I believe in 2020 she qualified for the games. She through Dubai, but then she got pregnant, so so she's a new mother. Taylor Howe. She's one of those up and coming athletes out of Britain as well, or the UK, looking to make a name for herself. Going a little bit further down, we'll start seeing a little bit more familiar, Karen Freyova. There's Sam Briggs, 40-year-old, 34 overall.
Still crushing it. I love her.
Yeah, exactly. And, her getting 15th in that event, not surprised. Obviously, it's the engine, and that's a workout. You've done that second workout with the pistols and the muscle. I mean, if they would replace ring muscle ups with bar muscle ups, she would probably have the top score in the world.
Yeah.
But it's great to see her up there. I would expect her to probably be top 20 by the end of the weekend. And then you got Laura Horvath. Obviously, okay, so what sticks out is what sticks out with Laura is that event 1. Now, what does event 1 have? The handstands.
And that's what we were wondering about for so long, because they haven't been tested since, was it the 2020 online part 1 of the games?
They had strict last year in the quarterfinals.
But it wasn't enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know that it was enough to really be a problem for her. And even this time, strict, it was only, I think, was it only 10? I don't even remember. I already did this workout. But after the deficit.
Yeah, which she still struggled, even though she could kip. I mean, that's still a movement that she'd still struggle with, even with the kip. But I mean, for her, even like last year, it's just damage control. And her finishing 90th in that event, it just shows, hopefully, that she's getting stronger. and improving on some of those weaknesses. But it also shows you, I mean, obviously the lunges were no problem for her at all. That's nothing. She just, most of that time, her time right there is all based on her lunges and probably that first round of 40 kipping handstand push-ups. She probably slowed down when it came to the other two sets, the 20 or the 20 of the
Yeah, it was
deficit.
30, 20, 10.
Yeah, 30. Yeah. So,
Yep.
but at 38th, that's probably where I would expect her to be. And then if you don't mind, May, can you do a search for Holta? Kristen Holta? I'm curious to see. I know she did the workouts. I'm curious to see if she's doing a Scott Pan check here. Because she originally posted that it was just going to be the Open. Like her season would end at the Open. So
yeah, her name doesn't come up.
Okay, well there we go. That she's just doing the workouts. She might be doing what like Matt Frazier does, where he does the workouts and then kind of just advises Mal, Jason, Jake Marconi about what to expect. So I'm pretty sure she's doing that with her Krieger team as well.
Sure. Okay, here moving to men in Europe.
All right.
There.
So the top three, don't know them. I'm that shows. Not really sure about this one, but some impressive performances nevertheless. And again, if you don't mind, maybe click on see how old they are. I'm really interested about age. Let's see.
Yeah.
24-year-old.
Okay.
Go to Victor Hoffer.
Yep. 19, another teenager.
Yeah. I've heard of Lucas before. Yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at those, the top three, and they're young. So this has to be very, very encouraging for European athletes because you have someone like Jankowski, who's an OG, but he's only 26 years old. I believe he's 26.
27.
Yeah, so he's just like, and then you got BKG. He's in 6. He's one of the at 27 years old, he's one of the older European athletes. And then
how old is he? Yeah, 29.
29. Yeah, still doing awesome. But yeah, just those are the two names that pop out. Obviously, you have Lazar and Sam Stewart's an up and coming. He was into games last year, but those are 4 names out of the top 10. The other 6 are all kind of relatively unknown, and they're young. So that has to be very, very encouraging for Europe. I mean, we're talking about on the European side, but it's good to see that on the men's side as well. Can you go maybe to the next top 10?
Yep. Yeah, here we go.
Oldest right there. Oldest is a young guy as well. Yeah, I think he's 24. Andre Houdet, Willie George. It's great to see Willie. Yeah, 24. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you have Willie George right there. I love seeing Willie's name up there. This is a guy who recovered. Took the year off last year due to a shoulder injury, and he looks as good as ever. After seeing him at Dubai, and he looks strong. So. Very encouraging sign. Oh, there's my boy Forberg from Germany. He's another up-and-coming guy. Moritz Feibig.
Where was he?
15th.
Oh, there he is. Right
here. From Germany. Very, very cool dude. I met him in Dubai, but you would think like a country like Germany would be like putting out contenders. But CrossFit's relatively new in Germany. They're really known for their other functional fitness, primarily, the Spartan races and some of the other DECA workout stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very encouraging sign for these young European male athletes and females.
Okay, Oceania. Here we go. Starting with the men's side this time.
Again, Ben Fowler. He's a relatively young guy. He's done the Open, I think this 4 years. Yeah, this is his 4th or 5th Open. He made it to the semifinals last year. Finished, I think, middle of the pack. I think 17th, 20th, 17th. It's impressive, especially that first place, 735. That's really impressive. Don't know much about him, but that's one thing good about Oceania is that it seems like every year there's a new athlete that comes out of there that kind of just blows people away. Not surprised by Baden Brown at all. Jay Crouch, obviously you expect to see him on there. Now Ben Fowler, I think the reason why I recognize that name is because I believe he's the brother of Luke Fowler, who Luke Fowler,
Oh, yeah.
he's pretty well known in Australia as well. And then if you go, you see Zeke Grove. I love seeing Zeke Grove's name there. I'm a big Zeke fan. He's a guy who's, he's dealt with injuries. He's been to the games. He got really sick at one of the games one year. Was nearly on his deathbed. But it's great to see him. And then of course at number 8, everyone,
Ricky Garrard.
Ricky.
Everybody's keeping their eye on him this season, that's for sure. I mean, he
Yeah.
has such like an interesting storyline, regardless if you're a fan, if you don't want to be a fan, or if you're indifferent. People are still going to be looking for his name on the leaderboard just to see how he stacks up after not being on the competition floor. What does his training look like now, and how does he compare to these other athletes?
Yeah, and he's not peaking. He's not even close to peaking yet. I can't wait to see him on that Torian floor. That Torian, I mean, just watching it last year, it is so much energy. It's just literally just, for him to. I think that's something when I talked to him, he's like he could not wait to perform in front of his country because they love him there. He's beloved there, and I just can't wait to see him out there and perform. He's in 8th right now. I find no problem. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this if he's in the top 3.
Still 3 more workouts before we have the final results, so still time. All right, the women, before I even click on it, there's no surprise at the top of the leaderboard.
No, there's no surprise at the top 3 in that leaderboard. Here,
no surprise. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So for those
the anticipation.
Yeah. So when I was talking about Glut earlier, how she had the 3rd best time in workout 2, well, the person that had number 1 and number 2 in the world, Tia Claire and Cara. They had the best times there. And now Tia, I believe her and Noah, I'm trying to think, there was a couple other, were the only ones to record. There might have been a couple more, but those are ones that pop out right now that won the first 2 workouts in their respective quarterfinals. So,
but even look at the difference between like Tia and Cara, like a full minute difference in that first workout.
And the thing is,
a full minute difference is a lot.
It is, especially when we all know how fit Cara is. But this, if I'm Emma Lawson and I see something like this, Emma Lawson had the best time in the world. Tia's time is 4th, I believe, 4th. So Emma Lawson finished 5:16, and Tia is 5:28, and then right after her was Raptis, who finished in 5:20. Mm-hmm. So Tia, I think, had the 4th best time. I forgot who had 3rd, but yeah, almost a full minute. And for those who kind of got, I don't know, wanted to start the whole Mal versus Tia debate, I think this kind of, Mal might have gotten the best of Tia, but if you look at just the first 2 workouts, it's Tia all the way. So it's great.
I don't think there's a question. I think the question is, how many more CrossFit Games is Tia gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, is Mal going to be standing at the top of the leaderboard?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure, we all want to see someone push Tia. And
you always want to see somebody push the best person. I don't know about you, but like, obviously I love Matt Frazier at the games, but it got to the point where it's like, nobody is going to catch him. Okay, I'm just going to worry about like seeing the race for 2nd and for 3rd. You want to see it a competitive field where it's a nail biter and you don't know who's going to win until the last event. That's what makes sports so exciting. You never want to go to a basketball team and see somebody blow out the other team.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, I don't.
Not unless you're Tommy Marquez and you have money on it. I mean,
right. Then I understand. But.
Exactly. But you bring that up, and I think we've had so many people that are potential contenders. Laura Horvath, she's probably the 2nd best CrossFit athlete out there. I mean, 2 runner-up finishes, but she's nowhere close to catching Tia. Annie's stepping away from competition this year,
right?
And so you hope that there's no one else out there. So someone like Mal, it excites everyone. You want to see someone especially someone young and full potential, and coached by one of the GOATs and her former training partner. But then the last person to give Tia a run was Kara in 2017 when it
Yeah.
came down to that last event with that last no rep, and everyone was like, "Who won? Who won?" And it was Tia. And since then, Kara struggled a little bit in 2018. We know what happened in 2019, 2020. Was COVID year, and then last year she had she was sick as well. So Kara's not close to being peaking yet. She's following Mayhem programming, and so those are to look ahead at the games. Anyone that's going to compete against Tia, it'd probably have to be Kara, and Mal would probably be at the top of that list. And then third, Jamie Simmons. Just keep on plugging along. I know she's a personal
It's great to
favorite.
see her healthy again.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, and just I always love a comeback story. You never wanna see an athlete injured, but it's so inspiring to see an athlete injured and watch their comeback and see them then, succeed with being in the top 3.
Yeah. So we talked about this before about the problem with the Oceania semifinal region because they only get 3 spots.
Mhm.
That's what everyone's probably expecting. So what does that leave out? It leaves out an athlete like Ellie Turner. It leaves out an athlete like Madeline Sturt, who's been to the games, and then it also leaves out Ellie's in 6 right now. Ellie's her back's against the wall. She's gonna have to beat one of these greats from Oceania to make it to the games, and I think she can step up to that challenge. I mean, she's training with Patrick Vellner. She's there with Freya Moosberger as well. She's in a great environment, but I don't know if she has that ability to do it yet. It'll be something to see. It all depends on the program at Torian as well. Another name, obviously, Madeline Sturt. She's someone's made the game multiple times. But if you look down to number 7, you have Marnie Sykes, who's someone she's one of those athletes that who's made it close to getting into the game. She's well known in Australia. But the name above her, Georgia Pryor. I was able to see her. Oh God, I believe she was probably 18 years old at the Asia CrossFit Championship sanctional. And to see her, and I never heard anything about her since then. And to see her name pop up like that, she's only 22 years old. So again, what we're talking about, Europe and some of these other countries like Africa, we have another continent that's kind of young athletes are up and coming. So that has to be. If I'm CrossFit, if I'm looking at this from a games perspective, I'd be very encouraged by this, especially these young athletes coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, South America. We'll start with the women on this side, our final continent.
Yeah. No surprise at number 1, Melina Rodriguez. She's consistently one of the fittest in South America. Always, Argentinian national champion. I'm not surprised by that at all. Some of these other names, Julia Cato. These are some other names that have been around. Valentina Rangel, she's made it to the games in 2019 as a national champion. It's a mixed bag here with there where we're talking about young athletes. If you look at some of these athletes here are you'll find 30 plus, and then you'll find some in a range 23 to 24. So Melina Rodriguez is one of those athletes. I forgot how old she is. If you don't mind clicking on her name.
Yeah. I lost her.
Yeah, top, very top, very top.
Oh my gosh.
Numero.
My eyeballs.
Yeah, she's only 26.
There you go, 26. Yeah.
But she's been around for a while. She's been that South American CrossFit circuit. She's usually competing at all of them. And she's a great athlete. Yeah.
All right. Moving to men, our final category.
So initial reaction, people will be like, oh, you probably expect Guy to be up at the top of that. I think it's him being in 5th is actually a good spot for him now. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in the top 3, but 5th, especially looking at these type of workouts, I'm not surprised at all. Obviously, Augustin Richelme, he's a guy that actually won the semifinals last year. Guy finished 2nd, so he's a really fit guy. He's a games veteran as well. Omar Martinez has made to the games. I mean, you see a lot of the same names you've seen from South America kind of leading the way. Nothing really new. I'm not familiar with Santiago Kumba. Nicholas Badarte, he was part of that Mayhem Libertad team that was
Oh, yeah.
supposed to compete, and they got this. They were told that they weren't. He was one of those
Right, 'cause
athletes,
of
so
location.
it looks like So getting that team, possible team games spot taken away. One of the things that CrossFit says they couldn't stop. They weren't going to stop them or suspend them from competing as individuals. It looked like Nicolas
Right.
Bedarte is doing that. But yeah, those are the names that kind of stick out, especially Guy. I'm really interested to see what Guy did in the other total.
I know. That's like,
What do you think?
honestly,
Do you think he hits 1,500 pounds?
I don't know, but I wanna see all of his videos.
Yeah. The only thing
Just because, like, the way he lifts is so flawless and
oh gosh.
so technically sound that I mean, you see and not to, like, knock on other people, and I won't even get into names, but, like, you see some really strong athletes, but the way they lift makes me cringe, and it makes me not wanna watch because I think something, like, terribly wrong is gonna happen. When I watch Gi, I know it's gonna, A, be a strong lift, and
Mhm.
B, it's gonna be a beautiful lift that just, like, all the mechanics are where they should be.
You forgot C though. What's C?
See?
Yeah. You said A, B, and C. What else do you like to see from Guy? There we go. Oh, oh.
That's probably the first thing that I love.
Exactly. Probably. Yeah, you're here for the
Hype squad.
celebration. Yeah, you're
I
here for the
am. I love a good celebratory dab or, like, if
exactly.
somebody does, like, a cool
Exactly.
dance move, I'm like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanna be your friend."
Yeah. Can we be friends? No.
Right.
Yeah. It's so funny you said that. It's like, well, I'm on the same page. That guy's just, it's just, it's poetry watching him. He has to be
Yeah.
the best Olympic lifter in CrossFit, in my opinion, hands down. And that's saying a lot because you have Tia, who is an Olympic lifter, but he's just at another level. I'm really interested to see what he puts up on the bench press because we don't know bench press numbers. We can
Yeah.
kind of guess what some of these other numbers up. I mean, you have to imagine he probably put up maybe 400 plus on that clean and probably another 400, if not more, on the overhead squat. I mean, that guy, his shoulder mobility, his full shoulder stabilization is just
My god, it's
amazing.
crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you add that in there, that's 800 right there. I mean, so, but it'd probably be more reasonable. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes about 1,200 or 1,300. But
Mm.
there might be some other guys out there who are kind of more specialists that would just muscle stuff up. Like when you were talking about those athletes, I'm sure I was thinking about the same athlete you were, but I'm there where I cringe. It's like, oh my god, is this guy or this gal's this yeah, I'm not a
Woo!
good Olympic lifter outside of the cleans and that just cleans, but ooh, there's some people I'm just like that's why I'm not doing it because refuse to do that.
And again, I mean, it's still early. That was only
Oh yeah,
the leaderboard after 2 workouts. We still have 3 more tests to see to get the full picture of who's going to the next stage of the semifinals. But it's exciting to watch
yeah.
the journey and see how the leaderboard is going to shake up in the next couple of days.
And that's the crazy thing is like quarterfinals. It's not live streamed. It's not televised. But yet here we are. We're excited about it by looking at a leaderboard, and
Yeah,
not
and
only
there's storylines from the leaderboard.
exactly, and going off of people's social media. So
Mhm.
imagine, and I think CrossFit, they need to figure out. I mean, this could be another storyline itself, but another topic of discussion. But CrossFit, we talk about this all the time. There's the fans of the sport. They thrive. They want content. They want to watch. They want to see this stuff. And there's an ability for CrossFit if they can to channel this all into one and funnel out
Mm.
to the masses, including us, the media. It's just going to grow the sport. And here we are. We're excited about looking at a leaderboard. Imagine how more excited we are, and how much more growth it will be if they were able to channel that and stream it somewhere somehow outside of maybe a highlight show or something like that. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited. I mean, just 2 events, and It's not even the fun events yet. Wait till we see the like
Right.
tomorrow when we talk.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, exactly. Did you do the shuttle run yet? Rope
No, I'm
climb.
gonna do that one tomorrow. So before I left the gym today, we were trying to like measure everything out. Just because like with the floor setup,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have like an open concept, which we do, but that's where like our main CrossFit
Classes.
classes
Yeah.
are. And then like we have a back like open gym space, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of in like a T shape. So to set it up to be conducive for wall balls and the wall balls to be 8 feet from the rope, and then the wall balls and rope have to be on the same side, and then 8 feet from like the shuttle, or the wall ball has to be 8 feet from the shuttle run. It's just like it. I don't know how other like affiliates were feeling, but it's kind of a little bit of a nightmare, like
Yeah, look
figuring
at that.
out
Yeah,
the
you're
floor.
asking a lot of affiliates to kind of, that's not every affiliate set up or has the ability. So we're lucky at my gym that we have the ability to do something similar to that. Like our ropes are near a little turf. We have a little turf area. That's where our ropes are at, and
Mm,
we have two rigs on each side of the gym. So there's a rig right there, so we can actually do everything in that area right there. However, running on a turf probably isn't ideal. I'm sure some people much rather run
sure.
probably not on the turf because our turf isn't really, it's not, it's turf. It's more for handstand walking and lunging and stuff like that. It's not for shuttle ones where you're quickly changing, direction. A buddy of mine from the gym who's a real avid runner. I guess he did the math, and it probably isn't very hard math, but all that running ends up being what point 6 miles of running back and forth
Why did you tell me that?
because
Why did you
I'm
tell me that?
because I gotta have some.
No.
I gotta get in your head. Gotta get in your head. Okay.
Ah, these little legs, or these
Uh,
short legs, these short, wide legs, they don't
I
move fast on
I watched
shuttle
a
run.
couple people, and instead of going back, kind of like people basketball players would do suicide sprints, they were kind of rounding it. So
Hmm,
kind of taking a little bit wider turn instead of like stopping, reaching, kind of like just kind of taking a little wider turn. So that way
yeah.
you're still keeping somewhat momentum. And he said it worked out fine for them, as opposed to kind of like the
I
stop
have
and
a
start.
technique that I'm gonna use.
All right. I have a feeling you're retesting now.
No, because I haven't done the shuttle sprint one yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm
All
prepared to
right.
do it tomorrow. I might retest the total just, to just lay it all
Beat
on the
Brian.
line. Honestly, like, yeah. I can't let him beat me at
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. But hey, bravo to Brian for getting
Yeah.
3 PRs. That's awesome. Like I said, and that's what I love about Brian. He's very, he loves the sport so much, and you know, he's the first one to admit it's like I'm not really good at bench press. I
Mhm.
mean, he first started bench pressing maybe 2 years ago, and obviously in CrossFit, it's not
Right.
something unless you're a mayhem where they're bench pressing all the time. But that's great. I was really impressed by his overhead squat because one, I suck at overhead squat because I have bad shoulder stabilization. But yeah, I'm gonna try to retest it. The goal is to beat Joe, in his 600 pounds total, which I think I could do. I've done it before, and I've gotten I think 725. So you know, if I can get over 700, I'll be happy. But what are you looking
All
forward
right.
to for day two?
Um, Day 2, like you said, I'm really excited to see what numbers people end up putting up, especially because last year you could have a specialist in the 4
Yeah,
rep max front squat. Like for me, I was stoked to have that because I love whether it's a front squat, back squat, overhead squat. I love squatting. But this year, by throwing the bench press in there, it prevents, so, and again, I'm not anywhere near elite, but it prevents people who might be great at squatting, but not so great at bench pressing. It prevents having that one modality put them up on the leaderboard for just one test, where the bench press, or if maybe overhead squat is the limiter and you're a great bench presser, it balances it out with the 3 different lifts. So it's going to be exciting to see that. And I don't know if the way you enter the score yet, because like the time domain like isn't open yet,
hmm
or I suppose it is now and I could check, but I'm curious if they just ask for the total or if you can give them like each specific lift so that we can see what people put up for each
I
one.
think. Well, I don't know if what like I think we talked about this. Actually, we talked about it, you weren't on the call, but in past years in the games when they had the total, it was just total weight, and you couldn't see,
Yeah.
each weight individually. However, when you enter it in, it'll be entered in individually whenever you submit your scores. But I don't know. I we're efforting it.
We are efforting those numbers.
We are going to try to reach out and get those numbers because people want to know. I want to know what people's benchmarks are.
Yeah. But
What do
that's
you
why I feel
push?
like CrossFit should they should put what your total is, but then have like a subcategory that shows each lift. But
I also think
but
when it comes
anyways.
I also think that when it comes to stuff like that, when you have your personal profile, that should auto generate down to your personal stats
Mm,
at the bottom until that's what should automatically pop up. So whatever score you did in open, a one rep, whatever, it goes down in your stats below, unless it forces people to go change them to the real numbers. If and it gives people like myself, Brian, other analysts like baseline numbers because we don't know some of these
sure.
numbers, and and I don't know about you, but I don't know if your stats below your profile are updated or if they're probably a couple years old, you know, or you just don't care.
No, it's more just like it's not really on my mind to
Yeah,
update that. Like I have my notebook and my logs on where I have the numbers that I need to look at and my coach needs to look at, but it's just one more thing to do. Why can't CrossFit just let us or
that's so
auto generate on their website? Take our
exactly,
ideas.
exactly.
Here is a free idea from
Hmm.
Patrick Clark, PC and the Pups. If you don't follow him on the gram,
Oh,
okay, it's getting late.
yes, it
I
is.
gotta do a
You gotta
workout
get some
tomorrow.
sleep.
You gotta work tomorrow.
I do.
And we're gonna be back here tomorrow. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Just kind of free shooting the shit,
Yep, yep.
looking at the leaderboard for some storylines. Tomorrow, we'll look at the leaderboard again as well. We'll have 2 more tests in there and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're gonna try to get a guest. Maybe, hopefully, we'll bring a guest in or a surprise guest. Who knows? Tune in.
Surprise, it's Joe.
Yeah. Oh no, he's moving.
Yes, he's got a busy weekend.
Thanks again, Lauren. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks. Yeah, it was good hanging out, PC.
All
We'll
right.
chat soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.